Maya says, Kyle, part of my job comes with taking verbal abuse from people at times. I really struggle with this, I bet. Even though I mentally know I'm safe. Do you? What if we honor you're not? How do you define safe? That you're not being beaten? What's your line? Let's do something here. I want to look at this. Maya says it's over the phone. They can't physically harm me. They can't actually harm me physically anyway. So are you safe? Because they're not physically harming you? Is your soul safe? Is your expansion safe? Is your future safe? Is your abundance safe? Is your heart safe? Is your inner child safe? Am I going to take, let's make your inner child someone else. Am I going to take Vivi to a place where she's being massively verbally abused? Oh, it's fine. She's safe. They're just saying it over the phone. I remember once, one thing I loved in that Tony Robbins documentary is you get what you tolerate. I mean, you wouldn't, and it's weird because it's just, even though I know I'm safe, my body shakes and I feel intense emotion when it happens. Well, then you're not safe. Your body's shaking. I mean, they're hitting trauma from before, but I'm not going to suggest you do it that way. You keep the trauma merged in the body by bringing people who are verbally abusing you into your life, probably to represent what your childhood was like. My go-to has been to just feel the emotions that are happening, but it seems like it's not getting any better. Well, one is the fact that you're calling it safe, which is a denial. I think it's denial to say it's safe. I'm not saying leave, although deep down I am. I'm not saying leave, but I'm saying at least let's call it what it is. If you're going to stay there, at least say, I'm not safe here. At least you're seeing your child on one level, right? That's a step forward, at least. At least you can honor. It says, I won't be there forever, but I don't want to run from what happens too. Like what comes up, I mean. So there's a thing that people do when they get in the work where they put themselves into shitty situations in order to bring up what they need to learn. Just so you know, what you need to learn will come up even if you follow your highest. In fact, it'll come up and leave. When you put yourself in a shitty situation to bring up the stuff, it comes up and never leaves. Does this make sense? It comes up but doesn't leave. So let me give you an example. If you have a pattern that your dad was abusive, and then you date a guy who's physically abusive, right? Whatever. And you're like, well, I should stay in it because I'm learning all this stuff, right? Hear that energy right now? I should stay in it because I'm learning all this great stuff. Yeah, but it can't leave because he represents your dad. So he's actually just feeding the pattern over and over and over again. Now, if you went away to a cabin and spent a month in the woods and let things heal themselves, that shit will come up, but it's because it's leaving. So I want to talk about the difference between getting into a shitty situation in order to bring trauma up, but you can't let it go, or getting out of the shitty situation and letting the trauma leave because you're not feeding it anymore. I mean, you could keep doing drugs every day so you can learn that you have a drug problem. You get what I'm saying? I could over and over and over again get drunk to learn I'm an alcoholic and then keep being drunk every night and learn I'm an alcoholic. Look, it's good that I'm doing it because at least I learned my patterns. Dude, just so you know, the universe will show you your patterns. But why don't you create a safe space for the patterns to come up and leave? Maya says it does. I just don't want to cry and be shaken anytime someone raises their voice to me. I agree. So let's get out of there. I agree with you. It's like the emotion takes over. Someone could flip me in a traffic and I'd feel that same thing and take it so personally. One thing that I hear as a pattern that says I'm safe when you're not safe, and that is such a diss to your inner child. That sentence, even when we just go, it's okay because it's okay because it's okay that they're treating me that way because, okay, make that another kid. If you were adopting Vivi, would you make her go to a place where she's on the phone and someone's abusing her every day? You feel this? If you spent time with your kid and we're like, okay, it's fine if you go on the phone. If I go on the phone, it's not you. You're teaching any kid, by the way, to do that and then deny that it's not safe. I think if I just leave, I still have this nerve in my body that I'm running from and avoiding. But I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. What you're saying is you think that the way to bring it up is to stay in a thing. It's like, I have a pattern of being abused, so I need to go live with Ike Turner, right? I'm going to go live with Ike Turner so we can keep bringing it up. And if I just leave, it won't come up. No, it'll leave. Check out how about the difference between, check this out, the difference between a pattern coming up and a pattern leaving. It's coming up to protect you from the people that are shitting on you. What's the best way we take care of this? Continually bring the pattern up. This is how people misunderstand spiritual teachings. It's good to have the pattern come up. How about you go to a frequency where you can see the inner child who was abused in the childhood and let it go? I promise you, I spent 10 days in the darkness, a ton of shit came up. It actually left though. You're bringing it up and then it goes back down because you keep feeding it. It's looking for something to protect itself from. So you're bringing abusers into its life. If you stop bringing abusers into your life, it has nothing to protect from. So it can finally rest. I mean, should we put a soldier that was in the war that has all this trauma in their body back in the war, right? So that they can bring it up? It's in the body already. Jennifer says, how does a pattern leave out of the awareness of the pattern? Well, you start to become present for what was protecting itself. You start to see the child. You start to see this kid. Watch this. I want everyone to close their eyes for a second and just see a moment in your childhood that hurt. And instead of just going right away, my mom and dad did the best they could, I want you to just see the child for a second. I want you to see the child in a moment where mom or dad walked away for a long time and just see the child reaching out for their mom and just see this little kid trying. Or see a kid that's anticipating dad's going to snap and is doing everything this poor little kid can to make it okay, to like figure it out, to like do the best they can. Like see this little kid inside of you, not the parent for a second. You see the parent to see the kid, but don't be so empathetic to why the parents did it. Just watch this lost child for a second. Maiah, you have a kid in you that was abused. I want you to see this little girl that's just like trying to figure out life on this planet and doesn't know anything about what's going on in the world. It was just assigned these people to take care of her that are abusive. And what's it feel like to be her? What's she feeling? Just see that little kid reaching out and is so scared. Maiah says, I really, everyone see that for a second. I'm going to read Maia's answer and everyone see it. still. I guess I'm thinking any situation in life where there is any kind of confrontation I want to run from. So listen, I understand you have a run from a pattern confrontation. Your fix to that is the pendulum swing of staying in something that's terrible. Neither of those are the answer. What's your heart want? Right? You got a pendulum of two different ways, right? That's what my instinct is. I'm happy to not ever deal with those scary situations. I just thought I would be running from it, but I certainly don't want to keep myself where I'd be dealing with that. So you have a judgment for running, but sometimes you actually need to just let go. It's not running, it's letting go. And what if that's what you're here to learn? That sometimes what you call running is letting go. Wow. So we're empaths who are very good at seeing the outside and why our parents did what they did and learning their story to make mental sense out of it. And then we shove ourselves with, so everything's my fault because my dad did the best he could. That's the blanket. My offer to you is to look at your inner child and notice how scared she or he is, or lost, or alone. So Maiah, yeah, she feels very scared. So if I promise you, things will still be processed if you let go, but they'll be processed and released because they're in a safe place now and you don't have to live in fight or flight anymore.
I believe that 2022 could be really magical if you have an understanding of what's going on and do the constant work of really being in surrender and letting the universe remove from your body what you're not. Join me and my team for an insane, powerful 2-day event and join us on the Absolutely Everything Pass. Join a community of people who are in the same work as you. I can't wait to see you there.